Okay, so I'm gonna say Shabbat Shalom to everybody. The title of this study is Christmas / Saturnalia from Babylon to Rome, and it's titled that because Saturnalia, which the world calls Christmas, really stems back further than Rome. A lot of times when you try to do research on it, a lot of times they'll bring up information on Rome and, stating that that's where it came from, but it was before that. It actually started within through Nimrod, and I'm gonna actually read a couple articles and relating on how it came through Babylon, and then also how it transferred into the present time, because right now currently we are under the rule of the Roman powers still. So me stopping there at Rome is because we're presently in that condition, and that's why it's still heavily upon the people. It is a spirit that is not within the Most High's commands, and if we say that we believe and that we agree with the Most High's laws and commandments, this is not a part of the worship whatsoever. So I'm going to get into some information on how it's connected to Babylon, and then I'm going to get into some information on how it transferred through time, going where Rome picked it up. A lot of things that Rome does is connected to ancient Babylon, from the garments that the Pope wears, the way they do their whole worship ceremonies, the Sunday worship, all of that stuff goes back to ancient Babylon, and it's all connected to Nimrod. Ramesses and the whole Tower of Babel, it's all connected. So this is a good study and information to share with family members or brothers and sisters that might not fully understand how pagan Christmas is. It's not biblically sound whatsoever. There's not a commandment in the Bible that tells us to celebrate Christmas, also known as Saturnalia, and we're gonna go into some documentation again from Babylon, also some documentation going into Rome, and then we're going to touch on some scriptures, precept upon precept, lining it up, just showing how pagan it is and that the Most High does not support that. So I'm going to read some of this article here. This is it starts off, it says, Nimrod, king of Shinar, was, according to the book of Genesis and the books of Chronicles, the son of Cush, the grandson of Noah, was born on December 25th. This is, so, the way they set up Christmas, they have people believing that this is connected to the birth of the Messiah. That's not in the Bible. That's not biblical. It actually goes back to Nimrod, as I mentioned. And I'm going to keep reading. It says, and can be traced back to Genesis. Nimrod was the founder of a great false religious system that began in ancient Babylon that has always opposed the truths of the Most High. That's why when you see within the Catholic Church, again, they have picked up all of the Babylonian worship. The garments that the Pope wears, those are Dagon priest garments that go back to ancient Babylon, with the fish hat and all these different pagan occult symbols on their garments. And I pray that the Most High have mercy and grace towards me for even mentioning any of these false gods' names, period, out my mouth. But just trying to bring some edification and some understanding, and some, good enlightenment to those who might have a hard time relating relaying this to their family and friends. It says it was, so I'm going to read that part again. Nimrod was the founder of a great false religious system that began in ancient Babylon that has always opposed the truths of the Most High. It's time we face the facts. It says the world is deceived, just as God prophesied it would be in Revelations 12:9. It says here, Nimrod started the great organized worldly apostasy from the Most High that has dominated this world until now. It's still carrying over right now. When you hear them talking about New World Order and all of that stuff, it all goes back to ancient Babylon. It all goes back to sun worship. It all goes back to Nimrod, Semiramis, and so forth. And the Catholic Church has picked all of this stuff up and is continuing to push the agenda. And you know, a lot of times right now people lock in on Christmas and they it's it's a time for gathering. If you ever look at it, there's a lot of people who don't even believe in God, who don't even believe in the Messiah or him dying on the cross, none of that, but they still celebrate Christmas, and that's because it's pagan to its core. All right. It says here, Nimrod married his own mother, whose name was Semiramis. After Nimrod's death, his so-called mother/wife Semiramis propagated the evil doctrine of the survival of Nimrod as a spirit being. She claimed a full evergreen tree. Listen closely to the whole Christmas tree setup, and I'm also going to get into breaking down how pagan each decoration is, because it is pagan to the core, and it all goes back to Nimrod and Semiramis. But I'm gonna continue reading. And Salaki, if I pause from time to time because I'm kind of getting over a little cold. But Nimrod married his own mother, whose name was Semiramis. After Nimrod's death, his so-called mother/wife Semiramis propagated the evil doctrine of the survival of Nimrod as a spirit being. She claimed a full-grown ever tree sprang overnight from the dead tree stump, which symbolized the springing forth onto new life of the dead Nimrod. Now, that evergreen tree is the same thing that a lot of people are setting up in their homes, which is, again, pagan to its core. It says, on each anniversary of his birth, she claimed Nimrod would visit the evergreen tree and leave gifts upon it. That's what people are doing when they're celebrating Christmas. What they're not realizing is that you are setting up an idol in your home. You're decking it with silver and gold, and you're standing it up, and it's a form of worship. The whole procedure of even receiving a gift from under the tree is idol worship. Just notice, in order to receive your gift from under the tree, you have to bow before that idol. It is pagan to its core. Okay? And that evergreen tree, that Christmas tree, that Saturnalia tree, is actually the tree that Semiramis says she saw spring up overnight. Okay? It says December 25th was the birth of Nimrod. This is the real origin of the Christmas tree. All right? I'm going to go down. So right now we're dealing with the Babylonian aspects of it. Okay, it's all connected to sun worship and all of that other stuff. All right. Let me see. Also, when you look at the decorations of the Christmas tree, I don't know what it's called, but it's that little thing. It's kind of fuzzy and it's shiny, shimmery, and they wrap it around the tree all the way. You guys know what I'm talking about. That's actually symbolic of a serpent being wrapped around the tree. All right. That's why if you really look at it, it looks just a garland, tawada. It looks just like, if you look at it, it's symbolic of a snake. That's why it wraps around the tree like that. This kind of stuff, we're not taught this stuff. We're not told these things. But like Romans 13:11 says, it is high time to awake. All right, we need to get up and really realize what's going on, especially the so-called God-fearing people, especially the children of Israel that don't know that the children of Israel. I'm gonna touch on some scriptures, man. We're really not supposed to be taking part in these things. We are to be set apart from the world. We are not supposed to be following these pagan traditions. Again, you have atheists that don't even believe in God that still celebrate Christmas. That should be a red flag. Okay. Right here, I'm gonna read this. It says, the real origin of Christmas goes back to ancient Babylon. Slakia. It is bound up in the organized apostasy with which the serpent has gripped a deceived world these many centuries. In Egypt, it was always believed that the son of Iris, Egyptian name for the Queen of Heaven, was born on December 25th. Semiramis also bore the title Queen of Heaven, and she was Nimrod's mother. Paganism celebrated this famous birthday over most of the known world for centuries before the birth of Christ. I'm going to read that again. Paganism celebrated this famous birthday over most of the known world for centuries before the birth of the Messiah. Okay? So I'm just bringing this stuff up because it has to be brought to light. So that's the ancient Babylon origin of it. Now, through the centuries, it has been adapted and picked up by the Catholic Church. So when I talk about Christmas / Saturnalia from Babylon to Rome, when you're talking about the Catholic Church, you're talking about the Roman Catholic Church. Rome, still Rome. And, you know, when you do your research and look into the Council of Nicaea, you'll understand how Christianity picked up all these things, because Christianity actually comes from the Catholic Church. Okay? And you read the Bible, it was the Romans that hung Christ. There's a whole lot of red flags here. And I'm just here today as a messenger, as a God-fearing person, as a brother, speaking to all those that are willing to hear. Christmas is pagan. Okay? It is a form of sun worship. It's a form of false God worship, and it is demonic. Okay? It has nothing to do whatsoever with the birth of the Messiah. Okay? So now I want to touch on the transfer of Rome picking this up. And after this, I'm going to go into some scriptures touching on precepts showing that the Most High does not support this. So when they want to talk about Christmas and all of this other stuff, don't put the Most High in your pagan worship. He's not a part of that. He does not support that. And again, we're going to touch on some scriptures on it. So right now, Slocking, let me get a little. Again, I'm getting over a little cold. So please, patience and long suffering with me. Right now, I'm going to touch on how Rome picked it up and basically converted it into Christianity. But it goes all the way back to ancient Babylon. All right, before Christ even was born. All right, so this is the Rome part right here. It says, many Christians today believe that Christmas is a Christian holiday. Okay, you break that word holiday up into syllables. The only thing missing there is a Y, but it's still saying the same thing. It's saying holy day, really. But if it's not a biblical holy day, then it's a holy day for pagans, for paganism, for pagan worship. Okay, the whole word holiday doesn't even really exist. That's really holy day. But if it's not in the Bible, then it's not a true holy day. At least not according to Scripture. It says, many Christians today believe that Christmas is a Christian holy day. The fact is that people have been celebrating Christmas long before the birth of Christ. The festivity was known then as Saturnalia. Okay? A lot of times when you look it up, they'll show you the Saturnalia part. which is the adoption of Rome picking it up. But again, it goes back to Babylon. It says the festivity was known then as Saturnalia. Saturnalia was a festival in which the Romans commemorated the dedication of the temple of the god of Saturn, not the god of the Hebrews, not the god of the Bible. Okay, remember, the Romans were into a lot of pagan deity worship. Okay, as winter approached, they were losing harvest, and when in need of the sun in order for their harvest to grow and bear fruit, Saturn was the Roman god of agriculture and harvest. This is pagan to its core. Okay, this is what everybody's running around buying gifts and doing all this stuff and involving their children in pagan worship. This is what the whole mass hysteria is about. But a lot of people don't understand that they're worshiping deities by even taking part in it. It says this meant that the god Saturn, little g, was in the need of the sun god in order to complete his job. Therefore, the attention was then shifted to the sun god. Saturnalia custom is rooted in pagan and Celtic beliefs and traditions. Now, when you're talking about pagan and Celtic beliefs and traditions, understand the kind of stuff that's associated with that. Halloween is a Celtic tradition. Okay? That's considered the night of the dead. That also goes back to Babylon. It all goes back to Babylon. So, if this is in the same league as Halloween, that's food for thought. And I don't want you to believe me. I want you to look it up. Don't take my word for it. But again, I'm going to bring the information forward through the Spirit of the Most High. And I pray that you look into it and share it with your family and friends. And also these scriptures, I would definitely recommend writing them down, because it's going to go into a lot of things showing that the Most High has no dealings with this. Okay? So, the Saturnalia custom is rooted in pagan and Celtic beliefs and traditions. They believed in human sacrifice, including the sacrifice of small children and infants, in which were offered to their gods in order to empower the sun to return with strength. Okay? They believed that winter was due to the sun losing its power due to a battle between the sun god and the god of the dead. Since winter is annually, they believe these battles were fought annually, and thus the sacrifices, so they do sacrifices around Christmas time, also really known as Saturnalia. It's about child sacrifice and all kind of pagan worship, right? They believe, They believed that winter was due to the sun losing its power due to the battle between the sun god and the god of the dead. Since winter is annually, they believed these battles were fought annually, and thus the sacrifices had to be annually in order to appease or empower their respective gods. Because the sun always returns at the beginning of the new year, they believed that it was due to all of their human sacrifices and custom rituals that took effect, empowering their sun god to return each year victoriously. Okay? This is how pagan this is. All right? And notice it goes right back to sun worship. When you look into the whole pagan sun worship, you're going to always see Nimrod connected to that, which shows it goes back even further than Rome. Okay? It says, the Roman pagans introduced into their law December 17th all the way to the 25th as Saturnalia. Okay? During this, so all now, it's been going on all now. They've been doing a whole bunch of sacrifices that you just don't know about. But it's been going on since the 17th of this month. Believe it. Okay? Especially the Catholic Church. That's real talk. But But anyway, during this period, Roman courts were closed around Christmas time, right? You see it all the time. And Roman law dictated that no one could be punished for damaging property or injuring people during the week-long celebration. The festival began when Roman authorities chose an enemy of the Roman people to represent the Lord of Misrule. The Lord of Misrule. The Most High does not deal with that. That can't be talking about the God that Christians think that they're worshiping on Christmas Day. The Lord of Misrule, who is that? Right? Each Roman community selected a victim. This is what Christian is about. We're getting into the real roots of Christmas. Okay? Each Roman community selected a victim who they forced to indulge in food, right? Your feast and all that stuff, and other physical pleasures throughout the week. A lot of people getting drunk and fornicating all over the place. This is all a part of the ritual of Saturnalia. Okay? It says here, at the festival's conclusion, December 25th, Roman authorities believed they were destroying the forces of darkness by brutally murdering the innocent man or woman who they chose to represent the forces of darkness. Pagan to its core. This is your Christmas right here. Okay? The last day of Saturnalia is actually December 25th. Keep reading. In the 4th century, the Roman Catholic Church adapted the Saturnalia festival, hoping to take the pagan masses in with it. Catholic leaders succeeded in converting to Christianity large number of pagans by promising them that they can continue to celebrate their Saturnalia as Christmas. Christians had little success, however, refining the practices of Saturnalia. Salakia. A professor in history at the University of Massachusetts Amherst writes, in return for ensuring massive observance of the anniversary of the Savior's birth by assigning it to this resonant date, the church, for its part, tactically agreed to allow the holiday to be celebrated more or less the way it had always been. The earliest Christmas holidays were celebrated by drinking, sexual indulgence, singing naked in the streets, Christmas caroling, that's where it comes from. A precursor of modern caroling, etc. Salakia. The problem was that there was nothing in relation to Christianity concerning Saturnalia. Here it goes. Check this out. To remedy this, these so-called Christian leaders named Saturnalia concluding day, December 25th, to be the Messiah's birthday. As part of the Saturnalia carnival, throughout the 18th and 19th centuries, rabbis of the poor places in Rome were forced to wear clown type of clothing and march through the city streets to the mocking of the crowd, heavily rained by a variety of missiles. When the Hebrew community of Rome sent a petition in 1836 to Pope Gregory the 16th, begging him to stop the annual Saturnalia abuse of the Hebrew community, he responded, "It is not opportune to make any innovation." On December 25th, 1881, Christian leaders whipped the Polish masses into anti-Semitic frenzies that led to riots across the country. In Warsaw, 12 Jews were brutally murdered. Huge numbers were disabled and disfigured, and many Hebrew women were raped. 2 million rubles worth of property was destroyed. Some foundation for a holy day, like they like to call Christian. So, please excuse me. I wanted to touch on how it comes through from Babylon all the way to Rome. Now, I'm going to get into some scriptures just showing that the Most High is not dealing with that. One second. Alright, so again, Salakia. So first I'm going to start off in Deuteronomy 12 and 29. Okay. Notice that when you're talking about the days that the Most High has set up for us to celebrate, Christmas is nowhere here in the Bible. He actually speaks against the setting up of idols and so forth. Deuteronomy 12 and 29 reads, it says here, when the Lord thy God shall cut off the nations from before thee, whither thou goest to possess them, and thou succeedest them, and dwellest in their land, right? Like we do now, us as Hebrews, right? But this is people, period, right? Understand this though, but right here he's talking about his people. It says, take heed to thyself that thou be not snared by following them. We're not supposed to follow these pagan customs. It says, after thee, and that thou inquire not after their gods. We don't need to know nothing about no Saturn. We don't need to know nothing about this whole pagan tradition that is set up to worship false gods, which is really fallen angels. Okay? It says, I'm going to start 30 again. Take heed to thyself that thou be not snared. Don't fall into a trap by following them. After that they be destroyed from before thee, and that thou inquire not after their gods, saying, how did these nations serve their gods? Even so will I do likewise. Right? In the Bible, it does not tell us to do any of these things that is going on in Christmas, around Christmas holy day, pagan holy day. Okay? Verse 31. It reads, thou shalt not do so unto the Lord thy God. Right? We are basically shunning the Most High by even taking part in Christmas. It's not biblically sound. So you got to ask yourself, why are these Christian churches setting up Christmas trees in them? Why are they catering to the little children to make them be heavily enticed into celebrating this pagan custom? Right? It says, thou shalt not do so unto the Lord thy God, for every abomination to the Lord which he hateth have they done unto their gods. So every form of worship that these pagans do is every abomination that the Most High hates. It says, for even their sons and their daughters they have burnt in the fire to their gods. We was reading it earlier. It was talking about the little kids, children sacrifice. That's what the Bible's talking about right there. The Most High is not dealing with that. He's not dealing with that. He does not celebrate Saturnalia. Okay? He does not celebrate Christmas. It's pagan. Okay? So, we need to observe his commandments and do nothing more, nothing less. Let's stick to the script. Right? So I'm going to stick in Deuteronomy 12, and I'm going to read verses 2. And it reads right here, Deuteronomy 12 and 2. Ye shall utterly destroy all the places wherein the nations which ye shall possess serve their gods. Right? Check this out. Upon the high mountains and upon the hills and under every green tree. In reality, man, we supposed to be tearing down them things, not putting them up. You know? And, you know, I'm actually going to touch on the scripture, too, to take it even further. We're not even supposed to touch a Christmas tree if it's set up as an idol. We're not supposed to touch idols. That's according to the Bible. But I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it, right? So I'm going to read that again. Ye shall utterly destroy all the places wherein the nations which ye shall possess serve their gods, upon the high mountains and upon the hills and under every green tree. Verse 3. And ye shall overthrow their altars and break their pillars and burn their groves with fire, and ye shall hew down the graven images of their gods and destroy the names out of that place. Here it's talking about the Holy Land. But you're not even supposed to have that in your house. Right? So, next I'm going to go to this one here. Everybody know about this. This is the world famous, the Most High don't deal with Christmas verse. And I'm going to get it right now. What's a biblical study on Saturnalia? Because I'm not going to be calling no Christmas because it ain't Christmas. It's Saturnalia. It's a pagan day. And we got to call it what it is. You know what I'm saying? Again, forgive me. Jeremiah chapter 10. I'm going to start from verse 1. It says, Hear ye the words which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Right? Children of Israel, listen up. Because we the number one consumers on Saturnalia. Number one consumers 365 days out the year. We spending on everything. So on Christmas, you know, we going hard, right? On Saturnalia. Verse 2. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen. Learn not the pagan customs of the other nations. Don't take part in it. Salaki, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathens are dismayed at them. Verse 3. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth the tree out of the forest, the work of the hands, the workman with the axe. Salakia, of the workman with the axe. They deck it with silver and gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers that it move not. And then they sing the Christmas carol till you deck the halls, so forth. Right? They telling you straight up that it's pagan. They telling you, they connecting it straight to the Bible and letting you know that the Most High doesn't deal with that. But yet and still they'll sing that song in church. They'll teach it to your children. You know. And we all grew up thinking that it was a good thing because they tell us it's the birth of Christ. But again, Romans 13 and 11, it is high time to awake. All this information, we can't be ignorant to the truth. Right? They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers that it move not. What we're reading right now is the setting up of an idol, what the world calls a Christmas tree, also known as an evergreen, just like what we read earlier. That evergreen is what ceramicist said that she saw pop up concerning the rebirth of her son. Pagan. Right? So no Christmas trees, man. And I'm telling you, when you look into the whole garland thing, that's actually supposed to be the serpent wrapping around that tree. Yeah. You know, they're not gonna tell you that though. You know, you go anywhere, you know, you go in Macy's, you're gonna see the biggest tree you ever seen. But also I got some other stuff that I wanted to touch on. So since we talking about the Christmas tree, I'm gonna also totally touch on the decorations of Christmas. And you are going to see how pagan this is. It's pagan, pagan, pagan.